Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm going to give this a take two here because the first time I went through this, my microphone actually wasn't on and I wasn't aware. But anyway, so today I wanted to take you through this, just kind of throw out this bigger idea of being able to maximize your now. Um, and first of all, I do want to be able to just thank Jesse Moore. Thank you for sending me a message, letting me know that my audio wasn't coming through. Really appreciate that. But what I do on a day-to-day basis as an executive coach is I work with leaders and I take them through my team's methodology to be able to help them amplify results, amplify culture, and get better performance outcomes with their team. So we take them through identifying clear targets, making sure that the leader is chasing down the right things, looking at engagement. Are you engaging well with your team? Are you engaging well with yourself? And is your audience being engaged well? And are they hearing the message that you actually want to communicate? Is your microphone on? The other thing is action steps. Do you have a clear action plan? What's the next thing that you're going to be doing? Does it support the vision of the organization? And then lastly, does it lead to momentum and synergy? Or do you have actual evidence that the things that you're doing actually matter? So I love working with leaders on this. And so I've had multiple different conversations this week about the idea of maximizing your now. Now, this isn't a play on words or anything like this. So I'm not going to probably give you anything that's going to blow your mind or anything, but I think it's a good conversation, at least for you to maybe have internally, asking yourself as a leader, as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a CEO, as a pastor. These are good questions for you to ask yourself and maybe even ask the people around you as you're engaging today. But first, before I go into just a really brief section of content today, I want to bring some definitions to leaders just so we're all on the same page. First of all, I want to be clear is that leaders take people places. Your job as a leader is to simply take somebody somewhere that they've never been before. And maybe it's a place that you visit regularly and you have a vision for it and you are familiar with what the outcomes are going to be. But regardless, you are responsible to take somebody somewhere. And if you're a leader in an organization, if you're a leader in a church, or if you're a leader in a big company or whatnot, you could be the CEO or the COO of an organization. Your responsibility is to take the organization somewhere and to also take the people that belong to it somewhere as well. Leaders are not leaders unless they are thinking about where they're going. And leaders aren't leaders unless they're thinking about what is next. So think about that. Now, here's the problem that came up earlier this week. And it has came up probably 20 times already this week. So, and as soon as I say this, you're going to go, oh yeah, I've been there and I get it. But it's simply this, putting myself in a leader's shoes, and in this case, it was a CEO. I'm a visionary, and I'm not getting the outcomes or the performance from the team that I want. I'm a visionary, I'm a leader, I have a dream, but my team isn't performing the way that I want them to perform. So let me get this right, is that you being a leader and you feeling the burden and you feeling the passion and you feeling the big picture dream about where you want to go, but you're not getting the outcomes that you want and the team isn't performing the way that you want them to perform. You know, there's this bridge that exists between where your vision is and where your outcomes are, and the bridge always has to do with culture. And culture is kind of a hip word right now, a cool word. I just kind of dated myself there for a moment. But culture's an in thing to talk about right now just because culture is an engine. Culture's the thing that pushes and propels things forward. And typically in an environment, wherever there is vision and there's lack of performance, there's lack of engagement. And so the culture isn't sustaining and the culture isn't propelling. And typically, the reason why some of those things happen, especially if the culture isn't a reflection of the aspirational values of the leader, it's because either there's something that's out of sync and there's something that's out of touch. The biggest one that I see is a lack of trust, a lack of approachability, a lack of transparency. Now think about that. A lack of trust, a lack of approachability, and a lack of transparency. These are really big deals. And in any functional relationship, if you don't have trust, you really don't have anything. So Patrick Lencioni says this. He says, trust is knowing that when a team member does push you, they're doing it because they care about the team. I love that because as a leader, you will be responsible to push, but you have to know where you're pushing people. You have to know what the goals are, but in able to do that, there has to be a foundational level of trust that's built. I want to talk to you a little bit about just a couple of those things just in this moment, because these are really important things. So in order to be really present and being responsible for your now, you need to be aware that being responsible for your now will always lead your team and your clients and your customers to their next. So being responsible for your now will always lead your clients, your customers, and your team members to their next thing. So think about that. You being present in this moment right now, today, and you understanding, and I'm understanding that I care about everything that's happening in this moment. And I am being responsible for who you are, and I'm being responsible, and I actually care about where we're going as an organization. These things actually propel people to move forward with the things that are part of your vision. Typically, when your team members or anything in this scope of this relationship space, you're going to find apprehension and in unbelievably slowed pace when there's a lack of trust in your organization. You might have a big dream and you might be frustrated with the outcomes, but one of the reasons why you're not getting where you want to go as fast as you want to go is because there's a lack of transparency and there's a lack of trust and there's a lack of approachability within that. And people just simply don't move when they don't feel like there's a strong foundation of trust, approachability, and transparency there. The other thing is this, is it's just the absolute flip of this, is that you can't truly be responsible for the now unless you embrace the idea that you are also responsible for the next. So you can't truly be responsible for the now unless you embrace the idea that you're also responsible for the next. So think about this perspective on this, is that here's something that I struggle with as a leader, is that I'm always thinking about what's coming up next for me. I'm always in a meeting and there might be something that pops up as a notification on my phone, or it might be an email that pops in the middle of a Zoom session or whatnot. And so I'm always thinking about that thing that's coming up next, but the person that I am meeting with right now, they also have a next. They have something that they're going to go into that I'm not aware of, and it probably isn't even on my radar. But I need to get better at just pausing and going, okay, listen, I know that you have something coming up next, and I want you to know that I care about that. Now, somebody's next might also be a dream within your organization. Are you taking responsibility of getting your team member? Have you invited somebody on your team and given them an empty promise of a promotion and they just never got there? Okay, that is one of the reasons why you're stalled. Is that when an employee, when a team member, when a client has this idea that there's something greater coming, but you don't help them bridge to the thing that they care about next, you're not being responsible for your now. That is a really big deal. Now, in some cases, somebody else's next could be something that's completely outside your organization. How are you going to handle that? The rules don't change. When it comes to transparency and trust and approachability, you being the leader that says, you know what? I'm going to be responsible to help you get where your dream takes you, even if it's outside of my team, even if it's outside my organization. That mindset will completely transform your day-to-day performance. It's going to increase your trust. Your team is going to approach you because they feel like they can be transparent with you. So I would love to have your feedback on this. We've got some things we're giving away today, some resources. So leave some comments below. Please share this when you can, and hit me up. We'd love to grab a Zoom session with you if you have some time. So have a great Thursday, everybody. Be safe.